Hello, I'm Biba Kang.
And I'm Ian Collins.
And this is the only show that pits a Zoomer like me
Against a baby boomer like me.
This is Zoomer
Versus Boomer.
On today's show, we're going to be debating whether it's better working from home, with mental, physical and even financial advantages.
Or is this all just a big fat con for lazy people to stay at home? It's that last point about the laziness thing. And I don't think it's a kind of an overt, I can't be bothered to do any work. It's not like that. But ultimately, when you break this one down, the only good reason somebody has for wanting to work from home is that they don't have to do as much as if they went to work.
I don't think that's true. I think it fundamentally shifts our understanding of work from a time-based metric to a task-based metric.
A time, but what is this kind of... straight away, you've got your own language there. A time-based metric to a sofa-based metric.
I'll explain. So you've got to sit in the office for 8 hours. And that, I think, rewards slower working. You all know there are people in the office who will eke out an hour-long task, make it last as long as possible, because they know they just got to sit there. Whereas if you give people tasks from home, you can say you have 4 employees, you give them all 4 tasks in the day, and they get it done at their own pace. And then you incentivize them to work quicker and more efficiently, because if they're done quicker, well, that's no skin off your nose.
But if that is seriously the case, and that's the best argument that you have for working from home, then I would suggest the person who's employed you has employed the wrong person.
What?
Or they're not giving you enough work to do. Oh, here's your 4 little tasks today. You're not earning a brownie badge, for God's sake, are you?
You're the one who wants a brownie badge by turning up. It's all about presenteeism. It's not about actually doing good work.
It's not about that at all. It's not. It's about the mental health of the person who thinks. What we've done, one of the biggest problems in this...
it doesn't benefit people's
You are
mental
wrong
health.
on this, Biba, and I'll tell you why you're wrong, because there is no real long-term data for all of your bold claims about, we're more productive because we can go to yoga and have a fennel pasta for lunch and then go back to it in our own time, our mind.
Happier if they get to work flexibly. People value it so much that they would equate, so they would be as happy to get an 8% pay rise as they would to be able to flexibly work 2 or 3 days from home. That's huge, and that's something that employers, if they don't have the money, they can say, look, I can't give you a pay rise, but you can work more flexibly.
Listen, you went to a good university. I'll show you another good university, Harvard Business School,
Yeah,
okay? They know their stuff, all right? These characters over there know exactly what they're up to. 81% of under 35s feared loneliness from working from home. They also showed anxiety and levels of stress as well in that shift to working from home.
Is this just
85%.
about you not having enough mates? Because we can meet up in the evenings if that's the problem. I don't need to go into the office to hang out with people. I love my colleagues.
So what, you're going to hang out with people during your working day? Is that what you're going to do? I'm sorry, boss. Yeah, I'll be back with you in a couple of hours. I'm just going out for a jog with my friend.
People can, if they're working flexibly, people can do whatever they want. They can go to the cafe and work with strangers. They can meet up with friends and work there.
You're at work.
Every one of my age is living in a flat share.
You're at work. You're not meant to be in a cafe.
I know, but I'm currently spending, say I work 9 hours a day, 45 hours a week with my colleagues.
Yep.
Compared to my best friend who I might see for 3 hours every 2 weeks, if I'm lucky, if you factor in commuting.
So you want to use your
your
work time to meet your friends.
I want to use my commuting time to meet my friends, yes. But what I'm saying is the argument that people need to go to work to have a social life is wrong.
What if your friends work in a factory?
If my friends work in a factory...
Because they can't work from home.
I'm not saying
what if they're a
bricklayer?
bricklayer? They can't work from home. What if they're a truck driver delivering you your lovely Amazon parcels because you've over-ordered again that week and it's going to turn up at your house because you're laid there on the sofa, you can receive... Someone's got to deliver that. They can't work from home.
Well, you're right.
It's just a sort of liberal metropolitan elite that think it's a fantastic idea to work from home.
You're right, it is inequitable. And I think that people working in these kind of jobs that can't be from home, nurses, teachers, care workers, I don't think their biggest concern is whether, Sandra the copywriter is working from her kitchen table. I don't think it is. What they care about is getting adequately paid. And what will happen if we start to shift more towards remote working as the norm, then jobs that require you to be in the office, the employers are going to have to start making those look more appealing and providing more incentives. And that means bigger pay packets.
That's
exactly what these people in these jobs would like.
But you absolutely get it is a fundamental, irredeemable fact that you will get more out of an individual in the workplace than you would get if they're sitting on the sofa. The human condition is predicated on systems, on routines, work and reward, and socialising.
But that's you putting the employer above the employee. Why do you care more about what the employer wants than what the employee wants?
It's not just about that, because the other day, for example, we were in work the other day, and somebody came along. There were 5 of us who ended up in a spontaneous group. We didn't know this conversation was going to happen. It just sort of happened out of nowhere. 5 people. One said, "Oh, could you do that? Could you? Yeah, I'll get that done. You get that done. How's that phone call coming on? Did you hear back on that?" This all happened in about 30 seconds, and it was just an organic kind of process. None of that could have happened at home. None of it could have happened even just by sending emails.
Well, maybe
None of it
it
could have happened in that speed.
because you're so slow typing on WhatsApp.
And we could kind of joke and smile at each other at the same time as well. That can't happen at home. It's the emperor's new clothes of the 21st century, because people quite like the idea of laying on a sofa.
And it's
as simple as that.
Because what's happened is, so since the COVID pandemic, right, we have a labour shortage. So the supply now doesn't outweigh the demand in the way it did before. So the power is actually, for the first time, with the employee rather than the employer. So the employer might want everyone to come back into the office, probably a boomer, and be like, "Come on, everyone, come back." But actually, they are fighting.
People who are willing to work, you mean?
They are fighting for the same pool of people. So whether they like it or not, they're going to have to start appealing compared to other companies. And how do you do that? You offer more flexibility.
But you can have flexibility in other kinds of ways. But the working from home thing, you will never, apart from the fact that the data, I mean, you could argue the jury is still out on this. There is something in the human condition, in our lizard brains, if you like, that requires a structure that you will never, ever get by sitting on the sofa, working at your kitchen island, because I'm sure you've got one of those, and sitting around all day knitting yogurt or whatever the hell it is you're doing, and once in a while saying, "I better do a bit of work because Barbara, my boss, has asked for this on a deadline."
Do you know
it's never going to work. And do you know the other thing? You've got isolation issues. I honestly think, be careful what you wish for, because the isolation that will eventually begin to gnaw away, it will begin to eat away at your soul and your brain as you sit there thinking, where is everybody?
If you think that Zoomers have isolation issues, you have no idea about the situations we're living in. My flat is rammed. I have like a room and a shared bathroom and a shared living room.
What sort of place is this? What's going on there?
It's a flat share. So obviously, and if one does feel lonely, you can go to the library.
But it's with your colleagues,
it's great
all of
for
that. That's the big difference. It's with your colleagues.
But I didn't choose my colleagues.
Well, you chose the job. You didn't have to take the job. It's not North Korea. You turned up and did the job because you want the job.
Do you know what I honestly think this comes down to? I honestly think that your generation cannot handle us having something you didn't. I really think that. I think you bought up all the houses, you had all the free university, you got to live and work in sunny Spain, and now all we're asking to do is to sit at home.
All we're asking to do is not go to work. Have you not heard this?
From you.
So all we're asking is like to get paid for not going to work. Oh, that's a fair request, isn't it?
Point,
silly us.
I am hemorrhaging my salary on rent in central London because I need to be able to commute into work. If I didn't have to do that, then I could possibly move further out. You know, wouldn't want to like live without my flatmates because they're gorgeous, but would have the option not to, and could really change the quality of life.
So it's about your flatmates. We're working your social diary around your work thing. You know, what's your? It's not just when you're going to the gym. It's when your flatmates are going. I'm sorry, I can't do that. Sorry, Barbara, I can't do that project at the moment because we've got a gym class booked. We've got a gym class booked at 7:00. Spinning. That's what we're doing.
Well, I think the world would be a better place if people did more spinning and
less
data input.
You said about generational thing. I think Generation Z, your lot, which is, it's a kind of breathtakingly, and I don't want to use the word naive because it sounds patronising. It's not meant to. It's meant to be a genuine point. This, I honestly, when I was in my 20s, all I wanted was to be in my 30s or my 40s because I thought that's where things get really cool. Obviously. For the biggest reason is because you just know more. And I think Generation Z are the first generation in the human journey that cannot get their head around that folk who are a bit older might actually know a bit more, for no other reason by dint of their experience and dint of their years. And other cultures around the world, that is respected. People look at that and go, well, actually, you've been around longer, you know stuff. Doesn't mean you're automatically correct on everything, but it does mean that you've got a little bit of a free ticket on this one because you've been there. And your generation can't get your head around that.
But I'm not going to... I agree that a nice thing about the office is that you do get to hang out with people who you wouldn't usually hang out with socially and have those conversations. One, that can absolutely happen when you work flexibly or from home. That can be arranged. And two, it does feel like something I'm willing to sacrifice in order to not waste hours of my life and hundreds of pounds commuting into an office every day just to show up and
You're not commuting to
learn
Madrid.
from my boss how
You're
to...
going.
My nan already
It's
taught
like
me
you're
to knit.
20 minutes down the road. Get on a bike if it's that much of a hassle.
It can, in terms of time, most people are commuting up to an hour a day, so that's like 2 hours. And in terms of money, it can save you up to 500 quid a month.
Previous generations previous to my generation would listen to this.
Thing?
If you said, what's the biggest problem with work? And you looked doe-eyed up there with a little tear trickling down your cheek and said, the biggest problem with work is getting there. Is it got that bad? Has it got that bad that you can't even be bothered to actually go to the
biggest problem with work is that it doesn't pay you enough. But if we could cut out getting there, that would help some way. Yes.
Be careful what you wish for, because I can see a time when all manner of other things are going to come in. Health and safety in your own home. There's going to be issues around that.
What?
Your boss is going to be turning up, measuring how high your sofa is, the kind of the distance of shelves apart, like they do in the workplace. Desks have to be a certain dimension. They have to be in a certain place. They have to look a certain way.
Look, if my
chairs,
office
for
wanted
example,
to buy
we're
me a
sitting
nice
on chairs now that
desk.
cost about $3,500 a piece, just in case you get a bad back. I mean, that's weird enough as it is, frankly. Imagine somebody coming around with a big clipboard to your house going, "Can we have a look at your chairs, please? I think you'll find you've got some kind of issue with your lower back."
For employers, but do you know what would save them a bit of money? Freeing up office space, because suddenly, if you're having people coming in 3 days a week, or if you're willing to have a section of your workers work permanently from home, you don't have to fork out for these big central city offices anymore. You can save a mint, and businesses are going to have to do that soon, whether they like it or not.
People talk about work-life balance, and that seems to be the thing. It's my work-life balance, really. Your work-life balance, okay, all right, let's assume you have this, innate request for this work-life balance that is somehow not being achieved and never has been.
Yours might be a bit off, and that's why
But
you're
your
so
work-life balance is to
today.
do your work in the same place that you do your living. I mean, this is just ridiculous.
Well,
It's
you're
not...
allowed to go out. It's not house arrest. It's working from home.
The overarching upshot of all of this will be that take it 5 years down the line, and I think Generation Z, the Zoomers, will bitterly regret. This is, be careful what you wish for, because it goes down to the simple intrinsic nature of being a human being, and that is being in a workplace. You don't have to be there for 100 hours. When life's a bit rubbish, or you're having a bad morning, or the kids are kicking off, all the stuff that I experience on a daily basis, the best part of my day so often is walking into work, because I see people I like, conversations I like, far more productive. How do you throw around ideas in the digital world? How do you do that?
I think the complete opposite. I think in 5 years' time,
of course you think
my generation will be really pleased that they're seeing, their families, their friends, and their children more often than they're seeing their line manager, which is the situation lots of us have at the moment.
Fast forward, when you retire, you'll be getting a gold-plated sofa.
I'm never going to retire.
And on the back of that, who would you agree with on those comments that you've just heard? Would it be the Zoomer, or would it be the Boomer? You know what to do. Make your comments known, and also make sure you subscribe as well for more content just like this on TalkTV.